Would it shock you to know that one of the best Justice League stories ever was published by Marvel? A story so revolutionary the creator's ashes were physically injected into the inks that were used to reprint the book itself. This story, written by one of the biggest fans of DC Comics, is held by die-hard fans as the direct predecessor to Watchmen, a comic widely regarded as the best comic ever. This story is Squadron Supreme, written by the late great Mark Gruenwald, one of the best deconstructions of the superhero medium through the lens of authoritarianism. By 1985, the Cold War had been around and was spearheading nationwide stress and fear over nuclear and societal threats. For over 30 years to that point, the Cold War had put consistent pressures on every single aspect of the United States, including comic books. Thus, at the time, the concept of the superhero had begun to be contested through works by visionaries such as Alan Moore and Frank Miller deconstructing the superhero as a concept, to Mark Waid and Grant Morrison's further elevated superhero stories, transforming the general perception of comic books as a medium. Notably, Squadron Supreme was published 1 year before 1986, which is widely regarded as the most revolutionary year in comics, stacked up against Watchmen, Daredevil Born Again, Mouse, and even whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Squadron Supreme stands as a paragon of what the implications of superheroes are and what the power invested in them truly means for a society. In the series, the Squadron Supreme is a direct analog to the Justice League in DC Comics, and as such behaves similarly to how they did at this time. However, the story diverges greatly in its setting. The book takes place in a world devastated by the Squadron itself, albeit under mind control, setting the stage for the Squadron to attempt to pick up the pieces and regain their status as the heroes of their world. Rising to their true purpose, the Squadron enact the Utopian Program. The Utopian Program is an incredibly controversial plan to eliminate world hunger and poverty, increase surveillance, reform criminals through mind control, restructure the economy, as well as build peace within the world through their rule. As with any debate over the role of the government in society, the split is shown within the group, while the society's protests are primarily shown while the superheroes go on patrol. To reduce this story to its most simple components, this is a deconstruction of the role and power of superheroes by comparing them to an authoritarian government with centralized power over the entire country. This directly connects with the real-world context leading to the book's conception, with faltering trust in the government's role and the perseverance of its people's well-being through scandals such as Watergate or the role of the government in foreign matters such as the Vietnam War. The Cold War presented millions of Americans with a new boogeyman of our society, the idea of an authoritarian government, most notably shown through the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union also laid the foundations for fears over a utopian society, with its goals of a fair and truly equal society crushing democracy, controlling and shaping the society's beliefs, and the sacrifices that they took to achieve their goals. The Squadron directly reflects these fears, with the leading Superman pastiche, Hyperion, posing himself as the leader of not just the Squadron, but the reformation of the country under their rule. To explore further, the characters of Hyperion, Nighthawk, and the Golden Archer are all pivotal characters to the overall themes and ideas represented in the series. The pivotal invention of the story comes from Tom Thumb, a revolutionary engineer who pioneers the technology utilized by the Squadron. As a result of this, the B-Mod machine is developed as a behavior-modifying device that allows the Squadron to completely rewrite the intentions and beliefs of criminals and other opposing forces. Initially opposed to the loss of the natural right to make their own choices, Nighthawk stands against the Squadron. Between Nighthawk and Hyperion, the complexity of the situation is not obvious to Hyperion, who believes that it is his moral right to correct and save the world by his rules. Hyperion represents a figure similar to that of a white savior, a man who believes himself to have the benevolent right to fix things and prove himself as morally superior. While Hyperion has a morally correct alignment, the actions that he takes show the causes of such programs and initiatives, as the faults of Hyperion are largely shown to be a result of his negligence, and at times, childlike view of the nature of the world. Hyperion is, at his core, a good person, despite his actions being misguided in execution. Nighthawk is presented as the direct opposition of the ideology that any of us hold the right to shape and reform society into what we believe is correct. Nighthawk argues to his best friend, his hands up in failure and defeat as his moral objections fell on the squadron's deaf ears. Following a vote to initiate the Utopia program, Nighthawk, alongside other hero, Amphibian, exit the room as well as the team as a whole. Following this, the Golden Archer represents a side of authority that is morally bankrupt with power. As a parody of Green Arrow, his partner, Lady Lark, represents DC's Black Canary. In the 4th issue, Lady Lark leaves Golden Archer, and as a response, the Archer finds Lark while she sleeps, puts her into the BMOD machine, and convinces her that she still loves him by erasing her memory of her problems with him.
Wait a minute, can I really go through with this? Make her love me against her will? Is there anything really wrong with that? The love we shared in the past was a good thing. What could possibly be wrong with making that good thing live again? You will love me, Wyatt McDonald, the Golden Archer, with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul. And you won't ever be interested in anyone else again.
Once the squadron discovers this fact, Archer is removed from the squadron and Lark follows, now in love with Archer once more, a broken woman left without her natural free will as a result of the squadron's misuse of their technological power. All 3 of these characters are the most notable reflections of the fears of unchecked authoritarian power on our societies, culminating in an atomic battle between Hyperion's squadron and Nighthawk's resistance group formed of villains. As the formerly brainwashed villains return to form, possessing their free will once more, Nighthawk dies in the crossfire. As the dust settles, the squadron, and especially Hyperion, reflect upon the death of his friend, the death of 5 other heroes and villains, and the death of the goal that they wanted from the start, for nobody to die under their watch ever again. The squadron stand together as a unit and relinquishes its control over the world, officially surrendering. As the squadron ends its reign, the world is promised to return to its natural order, devoid of the rule and tyranny imposed by the squadron. Throughout 12 issues, published monthly over a year, the squadron realized in real time how dangerous and harmful their form of authoritarian government truly was. The continuous debate over free will versus the betterment of society reflects the real-world resistance against foreign governments' actions, as well as the risks of the outcome of a communist U.S. society. The Squadron Supreme stands as more than just another comic. It's a timeless reflection on the systems in place of power, authority, and morality through the eyes of the superhero. Viewed as paragons of truth, justice, liberty, and the American way, superheroes are supposed to be something to look up to outside of our reality. So then, when our real-world systems of peace are threatened by these genuine possibilities of change and radicalism, the fear and resistance we naturally feel are shown so artistically throughout this book. This book isn't a testament to how awesome and radical superheroes can be. It's the opposite. To believe in a symbol is to believe that what holds that symbol up is sturdy. So when we put our trust, our liberty, and our lives in the hands of these symbols, we need to ensure that these symbols truly represent us. This book is not simply a reflection of Cold War paranoia, but instead an assertion of the importance of balanced power, as even superheroes can become corrupt from the absence of that balance. The Squadron Supreme is unfortunately not as widely recognized as it rightfully deserves, but it remains as one of the best dissections of the role of power in a world undefined by natural good and instead the values and beliefs of the people inhabiting it.